What's up, you guys? So, yesterday, Will Smith sat down for a rare interview with the Breakfast Club host, along with Martin Lawrence, to promote their movie Bad Boys for Life. And Charlamagne asked Will Smith, was he ever jealous of Tupac's relationship with his wife, Jada Pinkett Smith? And Will revealed that he was, in fact, jealous and insecure around Tupac, because even though Tupac and Jada had not been sexually intimate growing up together, he felt that now they were at an age where that was a possibility. So I want to get into the tea from Jada's own mouth, not Will, regarding whether there really was a possibility of her and Tupac having a sexual relationship like Will Smith hinted. First, let's take a look at how Will Smith describes Jada Pinkett and Tupac's relationship and his own relationship with Tupac.
Of the love Jada had for Tupac.
Yeah.
I thought you were
Oh
say
my
no.
God, that dude. And that was in the early days.
Yeah.
That was in the early days, and it was like, that was a big regret for me too, because I could never open up to interact with Pac,
Mm-hmm.
and because we had a little bit of a thing, right? Because they grew up together. And, they loved each other, but they never had that, they never had a sexual relationship, but they had come into that age where now that was a possibility. And then Jada was with me. They had come into that age where now that was a possibility. And then Jada was with me, so, Pac had a little thing on that. But she just loved him like he was the image of perfection, but she was with the Fresh Prince, so it was like, I never could, even we were in a room together a couple times. I couldn't speak to him, and, he wasn't going to speak to me if I wasn't going to speak to him.
Really?
But,
It seemed like y'all would have so much in common.
No, that's what Jada would say all the time. She was
Right.
like, I'm telling you, y'all are so similar. You will love him. And I just never, that was a huge regret of mine. I couldn't handle it. I was the soft rapper from Philly and he was Pac.
Right.
You
Well,
know
at least
what
he
I
didn't do a
mean?
diss song about you or nothing.
I know,
That would've
right?
been awful.
Exactly. But yeah, no, I was deeply insecure, and just I wasn't man enough to handle that relationship.
Jada Pinkett Smith has spoken about her relationship with Tupac many, many times. And although Will Smith says that he felt there was a possibility that a sexual relationship could have happened between Tupac and Jada, Jada flat out denies that. And she says even kissing Tupac was quote unquote disgusting to her. Here's what she told Howard Stern about her relationship with Tupac.
You were very close with Tupac Shakur.
Yes.
And Tupac Shakur wasn't the gangster that we all think he was, right? I remember his mother was a Black Panther.
Yes.
And he had a lot of Black Panthers, sort of raised by the Black Panthers and all
Absolutely.
that. But
He was a revolutionary without a revolution, if that makes any kind of sense. So then that kind of energy just transferred to a whole nother thing.
And don't you believe at that time he was in love with you? Because he would write poetry about you, that the fact that you two weren't sexual with one another, but he said you could make him come in a way that without sex, right?
I think it's so funny because now being older, I have more of an understanding of what that was between us, because, when you have two young people who have very strong feelings, but there's no physical chemistry between us at all.
You were not
and it wasn't
attracted to
even
him.
just for me.
Right.
It was him too. There was a time when I was like, just kiss me. Let's just see how this goes. And when I tell you it had to be the most
Sexless.
disgusting kiss for us both.
Why? Explain that to me. Because it was so platonic, the relationship?
I think, the only way I can put it is just the higher power just did not want that, because I feel as though if Pac and I had any kind of sexual chemistry, we might have killed each other, because we were both so passionate and, we love deeply. I mean, it was hard enough just with us being friends. We had a very volatile relationship.
Did you recognize him as a great talent at that point?
I did.
What was it, his poetry?
It was his poetry. It was was his personality. I had never in my life met a person
with
like
that kind
Pac.
of charisma.
He had so much charisma,
Did
he didn't have. He was poor. I mean, Pac was poor. When I met Pac, he owned 2 pairs of pants and 2 sweaters, and that's it.
Were you shocked when he achieved the degree of fame that he did?
Absolutely not.
Really?
I
Because,
knew
come
that
on.
was going to happen.
I mean, for both of you to become famous out of this shitty neighborhood in Baltimore
Yeah.
is almost impossible.
It is. It's crazy. And he used to tell me all the time, he was like, Jada, you're a superstar. He's like, you're a superstar.
He didn't say it about himself.
He didn't say it about himself. No, he didn't. But he used to say it about me. And and he went to LA he went to Oakland. He went up north and things started jumping off for him. And it really happened for us both at the same time.
So you guys were these close friends, really close,
Yeah.
almost lovers, but the chemistry wasn't there.
Yeah.
But then as you go off to LA and pursue a career and he goes off doing his thing, you guys are not friends. He went to jail.
He went to jail.
And you've said when he went to jail for the first time, he called you after that and that he changed. Jail changed him.
Well, it wasn't. There was a lot of things that transpired once he went to jail. It was really once he came out,
Right.
that he changed quite a bit, which
You mean
is
his fame
understandably.
changed him, or just coming out of jail?
No. Jail. Jail was a very difficult experience for him,
Right.
and of course we were on 2 sides of the spectrum, and Pac and I have always had very intense conversations, arguments, and if we disagree with each other, we disagree hardcore, and we had a very hardcore disagreement. And
What was the disagreement? What was the thing that broke you guys up in terms of a friendship?
I just wasn't in agreement with the direction that he was taking, and I just told him that it was a destructive direction.
A scary direction.
A very scary direction, and he felt as though, I had changed. I got Hollywood.
Right.
And
You had gone soft.
I've gone soft.
Right.
Right? And I understood all that, and looking back now, I totally understand where Pac was, because at that particular point in time, that mentality was part of his survival for that moment. And it was actually a mentality he started to come out of before he was murdered.
Right. And so you hadn't spoken to him for a couple of years. And the point I'm getting at is that when he was murdered, you probably felt a lot of guilt that you hadn't been in touch, yes? Or were you guilt-free because you said to yourself, well, listen, I couldn't go in that direction. I didn't want to be friends with someone who was getting so hardcore angry.
I don't think I was guilty as much as I felt just sadness, for not having, just the opportunity to tell him that I loved him. But I know he knew that, because it wasn't the first time that we had a bad argument and had stopped speaking and all that. I mean, that was kind of a constant in our relationship. So I didn't really look at it as, a reason to feel guilty, but it definitely taught me a lesson, which is life is too short. Do not let disagreements stand in between you and people that you love and care about.
I can tell you're really emotional about him. I mean, you're crying.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think of him, you have tears in your eyes.
I love him.
Yeah. Yeah, terrible ending.
Yeah.
I mean, just so violent,
It was really tragic. But you know what? He left a very strong and powerful mark. I mean, people are still, inspired by him.
Yeah.
So he did his work.
Yeah, he did.
He did his work, and that's what we should, that's what I'm happy about.
The thing I have trouble with, when especially someone dies that young, is like, oh my God, so much of their life is missed.
Yeah.
And life is such a gift, I
Yeah.
mean, really, even though it's hard and it's a struggle, if it's something you just say, oh man, all the years,
Absolutely.
who knows what would have happened in that guy's life.
Oh, man, if he had reached this age, yeah, he'd have been something to reckon with for sure.
Yeah.
Leave a comment and let me know what you think about Will and Jada having 2 different interpretations of Jada's friendship with Tupac. Do you believe Jada when she says her friendship with Tupac was strictly platonic and him kissing her disgusted her? Or do you believe Will when he says that he thinks Tupac and Jada could have possibly had a sexual relationship? Leave a comment and let me know what you think. As always, thanks for watching.